strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? It wouldn't be a stream without some technical glitches, right? Anyways, so this is our last official Ask Tim because we're going to be coming up with something new. We are wanting to do something where we have more than just me up here. You know, we were thinking about bringing in Tor and Krista, and I'm going to ask our new guy, Matt, to see if he'd want to be in and kind of have more of a, like, I don't know if podcast would be the right format, but have like some topics to discuss about what's currently going on in the 3D printing market, as well as taking questions from people. So I want to come up with kind of a new format. You know, we've been doing this for, I don't even know, has it been at least, I think it's been at least 2 years now, if not more, maybe 3. How long have we've been doing the Ask Tims? I'm curious because I know it's been years. So, and I think it's time to change things up so things don't get stale. So I figured we'd wrap this up at the end of this month. Probably take a break on like the regular live streams for September so we can kind of regroup. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. But I'm definitely thinking more of somewhere we use something like StreamYard, where we bring everybody in on a call and we all have like at least 1 or 2 topics we go over. Personally, I like watching videos like that. I don't know if you guys like watch the WAN show. That's one I like to watch for technical stuff. There's another channel that does like entrepreneur stuff called Valuetainment. They do a podcast with all sorts of different people. I'd like to more do something on a format like that where we cover 3D printing news and, you know, bring in a couple of different technology things, whether that's projects or, you know, otherwise. If you can tell, comments already here. He knows I'm streaming. And I want to give a shout out to Tom. I don't know if he wants me to say his full last name, but I'm going to call him Tom P. He's one of our good customers of ours, and he sent the boys some goodies, and we're gonna open those. We're gonna do an unboxing for the doggos. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to see what's in your goodie boxes? He sent you guys 2 goodie boxes because he said you guys are such good boys. Yeah. Do we want to see? He sent them the goodie boxes. I thought it said good boy boxes, but from Chewy. And let's see. This is the Tales of Adventure. Remo, do you want to see what's in the box? Do we want to see what's in here? Oh, let's see. Oh, we got toys that Comet's going to de-stuff. Do we? Look at, what is this? What is this? Is this? Oh, what's a squeaky toy? Look at, we got a camera. Let's take, hang on. You got, okay, I'd say I think they like them. Do we want the camera? Can we sit? You got the camera? There you go. Comet, do you want the lantern? I got another one, Comet. Do you want the lantern? They're going nuts. This turned into a dog stream. Do you want this? Can we shake? Give me a shake. Oh, okay, here you go. There you go. All right, we got more. There's a little teddy bear. There's more. They're just gonna keep taking the toys. They're gonna set them over by their beds, and they're probably just gonna take them. We got treats in here too. Hey guys, I got another one. Do we want the other one? Comet's gonna keep bringing it. Come here. Here you go. Here you go. And we'll have to give them some of these later. We got grain-free oven-baked dog treats with peanut butter. Okay, they'll probably like those. What else do we got here? Chicken recipe dog chews. Okay. I have a feeling these are going to last like 5 minutes. So let's see. That's the Tales of Adventure box. They're already playing with them over there. Can you guys see them over there behind the Sunlu box? Okay. And this one they like overstuffed. This one's a teacher's pet. The teacher's pet. That sounds like Comet. Comet's like the teacher's pet. Do you guys want more toys? Because there's more toys in here. There's some treats in here too. What? Of course we got treats. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is a big dog food meat loaf or stick or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure you would eat this whole thing. Hi. What? Do you guys know these are toys for you? Do you guys, what? Let's see. Oh, we got to take the tags off first, sir. What do we got? We got a football. Can we sit? Sit, ready? He got it. Comet, do you want the school bus? Do you want the school bus? Oh, by the way, make sure you guys say happy birthday to Comic because he's officially one. He turned one a couple days ago. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. You're a big boy now. Can we sit? Here you go. And all the toys. I give them about an hour before my whole floor is covered in stuffing. We got another one. Look at this. It's a football helmet. Remo, do you want the football helmet? Do you want this one? Can we sit? Do you want this one? Go ahead. There you go. Oh. And we have freeze-dried raw something. What is chicken and brown rice? Okay. It's a treat topper or a mix-in. Okay. Well, there we go. So we're going to give them tons of treats, and I'm going to give you guys tons of treats as well at the end of the stream, just like them, because we're going to do a couple giveaways at the end of the stream to wrap up the Ask Tims. I'm curious. I'm going to go and see what we have. I'm going to see what we have for the how long we've been doing the Ask Tims. So I'm going to see how long we've been doing this for. Let's go on our channel here. All right, so if I go to videos here, it's probably going to be the lives, I'm assuming. Hey, guys, you just got like a billion toys. Can we not fight over the one? All right, let's see. I'm gonna keep going to the end of here. I want to see. Okay, so we've been doing. This is 12/4/2020, so it's 8:30. Have we been doing this for 3 years now? Can I help you, sir? He just knocked over my my little thing over here. Okay, I don't think we were doing them this far back. Let's see here. 3 years ago, there's 183 of them. Holy crap. Let's see. Where's the last one? Right here. So was this the first one right here? 2 years ago? When was this? When did this first one air here? Let's see. Stream 2 years, September 28th, 2020. So we've been doing these for almost 3 years. So if we had wrapped it up next month, it would be exactly 3 years we've been doing these Ask Tim streams. So that's crazy. You can see it's like my really old thumbnail, my old office layout. There's a CR6 here just chilling. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the old setup. What glasses was I wearing? God, it looked weird. It looks so weird seeing this setup since I'm used to this one now. I didn't even have the lights behind me or anything. This is definitely old. So we've been doing these for almost 3 years. So September 28th was the first one. And there's one comment that says, Tim, this is awesome. I love this idea. And that was it. That was it. So, like I said, I'd like to have more of a like multiple person type of thing. Like that's kind of the goal. I'd like to have more it be like kind of a discussion with multiple people, myself, Tor, Krista, Matt, and you know, maybe loop in a guest if we have it. So if you guys you know, want to pop in, you know, especially if you have a YouTube channel and want to plug it, I don't care if you're big or small, it'd be kind of cool to make this more of a multi-person thing where we can have a bunch of people on here. I just realized my camera is not level right now for some reason. Hang on. Let me fix that. There we go. I was like, looking at it, it's kind of off kilter. So anyways, how many views on that first show? It was like 617. So, I mean, that's the other thing too. These videos don't get a ton of replays. I think obviously it's our most active followers that typically do it. So, all right, but we're gonna jump into questions here. So if you guys want to ask questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. You gotta type !Q in front of that. Also, I will say if you guys have any recommendations or resources on how to overhaul our OBS setups, our streaming setup, because we're still gonna do streaming. We're just not doing the Ask Tims anymore. We will replace it with something though. We will figure out. We're in the we're in the process of revamping just everything here, going over everything, refreshing products, company initiatives, that kind of stuff. Speaking of company stuff, this is almost done. This is the LCD conversion for the Under 5 S1. If you guys saw the video that I posted yesterday, or technically earlier this morning, with the little 3v3 fix, that is on this printer now, so I can actually do the video doing the install. I'm waiting on the final revision of the case to print right now. This one is almost done, except the LCD knob needed a little more clearance so it doesn't bottom out on the printed part. But look how nice they came out. So this is how they're going to look. They're going to be printed on the textured flex plates like this. So they got this nice surface on them, and it'll bolt right up onto the front of the printer, just like that. And thanks, Tom, for the squeaky toys. Thank you for the squeaky toys. Yes, we love the squeaky toys. So, all right. Let's jump into the questions. So if you guys are new to this, you just ask questions about 3D printing. It can be about, it's about FDM printers. It could be with our hardware, software, other companies' hardware, software. I will answer them to the best of my ability. So, let's see here. The first question we have is from Stoles55, and he said, can the TH reunified firmware be used on a stock Ender 3 Pro if it has a GD32F303 RET6 processor? There seems to be much confusion on this. So the answer is yes. So luckily, those GD32 chips that Creality use on those, the F303s, they can actually run the STM32 code. So if you get our firmware for the printer, that'd be the one for the 422 board, you can just flash it and update it. It is updatable. Now, I will say the print quality on those boards are not as good as some other ones, you know, like even Creality's own boards like the E3 free runs or the 427, especially putting it up against our high-end Easy Board V2, but they are still decent boards and they'll print. So I'll put a link in the chat here for the correct firmware. But if you like go to our unified firmware site here, I'll show you right now. So if I go to our firmware site and we go to Creality firmware here and we do Ender 3, and the 303 Pro, they use the same one. So you'd have a 32-bit firmware here. This would be the link to use for that printer. Now, this has the directions here on how to actually use the firmware. It's got things to read before starting, our video guide. And to get the firmware, you can click here, and this will take you to our store page to get the firmware. So you want this one for that board, for the stock V4.X board. So the X means any number. So 422, 423, I think 431 we have here listed. The board models it supports and the CPUs. And you can see here we have the GD32F303 RET6 listed here. So this firmware here, it's $5. If you want technical support, you can add that on, and it's $30 whether you get a year or 3 months. So if you wanted technical support, meaning you want help compiling, you need questions that you want to ask, you're adding upgrades on and need help setting up the firmware, I definitely recommend the technical support. It's only $30, and if you add it on when you purchase the firmware, you get support for the entire length of the firmware update. So if you add it on for the 3 months, you can email us anytime from the 3 months from the date of purchase till the end of that 3 months, and we'll give you a hand with whatever you're asking about when it comes to the firmware. So you're trying to set up a CR Touch, you're trying to set up an easy ABL, change your E-steps, whatever you want, those kind of questions are covered. And again, the same thing goes for a year. And how our system works is it's very simple. We don't have auto renew. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But basically how it works is as soon as you click the download button on the website, it will give you the latest copy of the firmware. I am currently working on a way to have like the current version number pulled from our GitHub, because we do have our core code on GitHub. The configuration files are not there for the printer control boards. And I would like to have like the version number embedded on the site somewhere so you can see. But we do still do releases on GitHub. The only thing that's not in there are the actual config files for each separate printer / board setup. And when you purchase a firmware, you get not only the full source code, but also those configs that we've developed. And I see Souls also says, regarding my firmware question, I want to use linear advance and input shaping. So input shaping will work on that board. It works decent. Linear advance on that board, depending on what board you have. If it's the one with the trinamic drivers, linear advance will probably not work very well. If it's the louder board with the 4988 drivers, then linear advance should work just fine. On the Ender 3 V2 422 boards, those came with trinamic drivers, and trinamic drivers in standalone mode don't tend to work very well with linear advance. That's been a thing for a while. So, but you know, if you do want to end up changing out your board later on, you can put the 427 in there, which I wouldn't recommend. That's more of a lateral move. Unless you're just looking for a cheap board to replace it. You can go with the EasyBoard V2, or we did just stock the E3 Free Runs board. And if you guys are wondering about those, the E3 Free Runs is basically like the 427. It's a little more expensive, but it does have 2209 drivers in UART mode, meaning you can do a lot more with them. They're easier to set the current. It's all digital, whereas the 427, you have to manually adjust the VREFs on each of the drivers. So they're both decent budget boards. We carry 3 different drop-in replacement boards for a lot of Creality machines, including our own. And we also have the MKS Monster 8 if you guys are looking for a 8-driver board for a custom build or something specialty. So, all right, is that it? Do we have? Are you guys giving me an easy last stream here? Yeah. So my brother Doug, he actually asked me about the what's the word I'm looking for? The orbiter filament sensor with an EasyBoard V2. And the nice thing about the orbiter is it actually uses the same logic as the EasyOut V2 sensors we have. So it's really easy to hook up. You basically, the red wire on the orbiter sensor is the 5 volt or 3.3, the blue is the ground, and the green is the signal. So if you're only going to use it as a filament sensor and not use the button, the unload button, then you just hook it up like that to your voltage, signal, and ground. If you're using our firmware, you tell it you have an easy out. Since it's the same logic, the firmware doesn't care what sensor's on there as long as it responds in the same way. And then one thing you can do, if you do want to use the unload button, you can hook that up to a spare IO pin. So on our EasyBoard V2, if you're not using a BL Touch or CR Touch, you'll have the servo header open, and you can use the signal pin on there, which is PA2. And then we do have settings in our firmware that are not in the EasyBoard V2 config. They're actually in they're actually in the MKS Monster 8 one, but the backend code does work. So you can actually just add multiple lines. That didn't paste right. Hang on. So you could add multiple lines. I can't type today apparently. They're supposed to be define LDO filament enable. So if you're doing an EasyBoard V2, you could do that. Let me pull up the picture here I made for him. In case somebody's messing with that. So we do have that supported in our firmware here. There's my annotated screenshot. Here we go. Here it is. Yeah, so if you're using an Orbiter V2 on our EasyBoard, the easiest way is to wire it up like this. So you've got red going to 5V on the fill sensor header, blue going to ground, and then green going to SIG, and then the yellow, my head is covering it up here. The yellow can go to the signal pin on the servo, and this servo pin is PA2. So basically, if you wanted to use that on there, you would define LDO filament unload pin PA2, and then we would also want to define LDO filament enable. Now this is if you're on the EasyBoard V2. Now this also would work on other boards that have a filament sensor pin in our firmware. So these would be the 3 lines we would want to have uncommented. So this one will be present in all of our configs, the easy out enable line. And then these ones would be the ones we drop in that would tell it then we have the LDO sensor and then the pin. Now this pin number can change depending on what board you're using. So if you're using like the 422 or the 427 board, you can use like a spare pin off of like the programming header or off the BL Touch header. They do have that 5-pin header with there's 2 IO pins on there. So you basically, the firmware just needs you to tell it where you hooked everything up to. Now, if you don't care about having the unload pin and you're using an orbiter with our firmware on a board that already supports our easy out sensor, which is I'm pretty sure all of them, you would just hook it up like this, the red to the 5 volt or 3.3 volt line on whatever port is for the filament sensor, the blue to the ground, and then the green to the signal, and you just don't use the yellow. The yellow wire on the LDO orbiter is only for the unload button, which if you don't care about that, it doesn't matter. So, all right. Let me see, where did my questions go? There they are. Okay. Tower Waffle asks, have you ever cut 20-foot extrusion? If so, what's the best way? So the way I've done it, which I would not say is the best way, is I do have a metal blade for my, I think it's called a miter saw. And I've used that to cut it. Now you have to compensate for the amount of material that the saw takes out of it. But for just prototyping stuff or one-off things, that's what I've used as a miter saw. I wouldn't recommend using something like a Sawzall just because it's not going to be super accurate. Are we bringing me the new toys? Look at, can I have that? Come here. Can I have the toy? Come on. Thank you. He wants me to take his picture. He said, smile. Good boy. There you go. Go get the toy. Yeah, so that's what I've done. That's a tool I have. I think if you had like a bandsaw, that would probably be pretty good if you have a way to like restrict it. So you want to avoid cutting on an angle. And the reason I use the miter saw is it's really easy to get a nice straight cut with that. The only thing is making sure that you're accounting for the width of the blade that's getting taken out of whatever you're cutting, especially if you're cutting multiple pieces out of the same one. So yeah, that's typically what I do. Mike says, do you plan on having regular live streams that are just not Q&A, or are you cutting back on the weekly streams? So I would still like to do weekly streams. That's kind of the other thing too. And kind of mix it up. Obviously, like, we don't have a ton of printers to do unboxings for. Sorry that I'm yawning. Can you guys hear the dogs? Hang on. How many toys did we just give them, and they're fighting over the same one? It's like, you guys are like a bunch of toddlers. You know that? You're like a bunch of toddlers. Here. Maybe this will shut you up for a little bit. We got hella treats, okay? So anyways, yeah, we are gonna keep doing live streams. I just want to change it up. And I think it'd be a good idea. It's been almost it's almost been, like I said, it's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years if we kept doing it. It would be 3 years we've been doing the Ask Tim. So, yeah, a weekly like kind of printer podcast similar to the WAN show. You do some Q&A would be good. That's kind of what I'm wanting to do. And obviously we only have so many people here. And even if we had like Chris to jump in, or I had, you know, my guy Matt that's working out in the print farm right now jump in. I'd probably still bring them on StreamYard so we can each be at our own desks and stuff. I could be out here in my office. Chris can be in her office. Matt can be on his computer. Tor can be dialed in remotely. And then we all kind of come to the table with like different topics and stuff we want to talk about, that kind of thing. So, but also it'll give me a chance to do a live stream for a printer. So, where we can hang out and do stuff, kind of getting back to what we used to do. So yeah. Yeah, and we can still do updates on the store and stuff. That's the whole thing. It's kind of evolved. It used to just be questions, but we don't have a ton of questions all the time. And I just kind of want to make it like kind of a weekly hangout where we, get information on what's going on. I'm probably going to set up a form where you guys can send us like tips on like what new printer news you've seen, stuff you want us to cover, that kind of stuff, new machines, etc. Yeah, so we will be doing streams too. I want to do at the minimum. I want to do at least 2 streams a month, if not more. So that's my goal. So maybe it's every other week. Maybe it's 1 week the next week. We'll see. I'm also going to send out a survey once we figure out what we're doing, figuring out what optimal time it will be on. So, all right. Vega says, was there a favorite memory for one of my streams? I would have to say it's probably gonna be when I asked Krista to marry me a couple months back. I honestly don't remember what month that was, but I think that's probably the best one. And we are getting married in May of next year. So yeah, but yeah, my memory is horrible. It's not that I don't care. It's just I can't remember when that happened. Let's see. Nemo Griff says opinions on the Haldis extruder. Why am I yawning so much? I know, Comet. Comet's like, let me lick your face. I'll get you to stop yawning. All right, let's see. The Haldis 3D Frog. That can't be it. That's a horrible name. This looks really Chinesium. I must be looking at the wrong thing. I've never heard of Haldis for a brand. Hey, Comet, can we not breathe our very hot dog breath on my leg? I'm not a fan. I'm looking here. 126.23. Of course she knows. All right. Oh, the 25th. Okay. The Haldis extruder. Nemo, send me a link to that on the on Discord. I know you got me on Discord. Send me a link on there. I'll circle back. Zolan, what is your opinion on Bamboo starting their own model hosting website? I'm not a big fan of Bamboo in general because of the cloud component. As we know, their cloud majorly screwed up and actually caused damage to people's printers. I'm really curious to see if they actually are going to cover repairs to those machines, because I am in the Bamboo groups on Facebook, and a lot of those printers had major hot end damage, like very, very major hot end damage. You know, and that's the thing too, like the people that buy Bamboo printers are typically people that want a printer but don't want to deal with a printer. So, you know, sending them parts out is one thing, but I know there's a set of people that are not comfortable with changing out the machines, and they don't really have service centers. So, you know, are they going to cover shipping to and from for something they screwed up? My whole thing is, I don't like the cloud for hardware stuff. I don't. Whether it's printers, whether it's smart home stuff, I'm just not a fan of a company, especially a Chinese company, having access to a machine that has the capability to burn my house down, and a camera on it with closed source software. So, you know, even my home automation stuff here, I have a lot of home automation stuff. Like all these lights behind me are all Wi-Fi connected devices, but they are all local. And I see this is the thing that the Bamboo fanboys always say, you don't have to use the cloud. Well, you have to use the cloud to initially set it up. And unless you're blocking it from your WAN connection, or just having it unplugged, one, running it local, you lose a lot of the features for the printer because they are cloud-based. At that point, why are you even bothering with a Bamboo? You know, that's the thing. I will not trust these companies, especially when they have it so you can't audit their code. You know, that's fine if they want to have it closed source. That's in their right. I use stuff that's closed source. You know, like we use Microsoft's cloud platform for services, but you will not see me using you know, cloud connected printers in a long time. I don't get me wrong, I think they have a lot of cool technology in the machines, but the fact that you need their cloud to use most of the cool features is a big negative for me. Because here's the other thing too, if you have these printers that are heavily reliant on the cloud, and that's what does a lot of their tricks, if that company ever goes out of business, if their servers go down, you're basically stuck with either a very basic machine or a paperweight in some cases. You know, And this has been stuff that I don't like in general for different types of hardware. You know, for example, like those Cricut vinyl cutters. I had one of those for a while, and I almost sent it back. I wasn't the primary user of it. I don't own it anymore, but I did not like that you had to use their cloud stuff. And the other thing too is they got in a lot of backlash when they decided they started charging for it. That's the other thing. The cloud services, from a company standpoint, they cost actual money to keep running. So what happens when Bamboo decides, oh, well, the printer sales aren't sustaining, you know, the continued sales of printers and parts and accessories are not giving us enough revenue to also now operate the cloud. Go lay down. Go. You're being very annoying. You know, they go, hey, well, we want to keep this cloud stuff running, but it takes a lot of money to keep the servers running. It takes a lot of money to pay the people to keep the servers running. You know, they're constantly going to have to keep things updated to have good security. This is all continual cost. So what happens if they decide, oh, okay, well, hey, all you guys that were early adopters, you guys now got to pay for something that we told you came with the printer. And the question is, when is that going to happen? Not if. It's probably going to be a when question. And that's the other thing too, is if they decide, hey, we're not supporting your printer anymore, you know, 2 or 3 years from now. Here's the thing. I have printers that are 6+ years old. I've rebuilt them multiple times. I still run them. That is my ANET AM8. Okay. That was my first printer that I ever built, and it's been rebuilt multiple times. That printer still prints great. It's had many overhauls. It's had many upgrades, but it's a 7+ year old printer that still prints really well and, you know, has modern technology in it. What happens when Bamboo says, yeah, we're not giving you guys any more we're not giving you guys any more updates. And then at a certain point, they're going to say, well, we're not going to let that printer connect to our cloud anymore. It's going to happen eventually. What are you guys going to do? Toss it in the garbage? You're going to run it in LAN only mode? They stop making proprietary parts for it. Like, there's a lot of negatives. Yeah, the price is attractive. Yeah, the technology in it's attractive, but I know better because I've been screwed over by companies multiple times where they decided to shut down their cloud services for older devices, and now I have a paperweight that can't do anything or can't do nearly as much as what it did. One of the things would be a good example of something we literally threw out yesterday. Was we had these nice little OBD Bluetooth adapters for our cars. I had them, my brother had them, a couple of my family members had them, and then the company just said, yeah, we're not supporting them anymore, and they're literally fucking useless now. They're literally e-waste. Even though the hardware, it works fine, and it still can do the same thing it did 5 years ago, they locked it out. So literally, we have a piece of hardware that went in the trash that worked fine, but the company decided to kill it off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Yeah, Logitech Harmony. I have Harmonies too. That's another thing. And another reason why I'm not buying into other cloud stuff. I love my Logitech Harmonies, but at a certain point, they're going to stop working. And actually, Zolan, you have my information. If there's a way to hack the firmware, let me know, because I'm going to have to do that. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of cloud connected hardware. Like, I'm not. Call me paranoid, call me old school, whatever. Not something I'm going to ever want to put into my devices or buy. All right, so Nemo sent me this. This looks like I don't know what the benefit of this over other stuff like the Orbiter or, you know, Bontex or, you know, my brain is not firing all cylinders today, apparently. I mean, it's an extruder. It's from a Chinese company. I don't know. There's a lot of other good extruders, and this looks kind of jank. Like, overly complicated for the sake of being overly complicated. I don't know. Maybe it works great. It doesn't do anything for me, especially at $56. I'd rather just run, like, you know, the extruders we have. You know, like our Tough Extruder V2, which is like a Bondtech Titan hybrid type of thing. This doesn't look that small. This looks like it's bigger than a Orbiter. Like, by a decent amount, because we used to have the orbiters, and those were nice little extruders. Why is this not... I guess maybe it's the same size as an orbiter. It's hard to tell because their pictures and angles are not that great. I don't know. I mean, it's an extruder. I don't like these gears, though. These big gears. And this just looks cheap. These are not, like, coated or anything. And it looks like they got plastic stuff here. I don't know. It'd probably push plastic. Doesn't do anything for me. All right, let's see. The bigger gears have more bite on the filament. I mean, I guess. So, but yeah, Zolan, send me stuff for the Harmony, because that's been on my list to carry over. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna replace my Logitech Harmonies with a RM Mini, like the... You guys know what I'm talking about, that do the home automation stuff, the RM Mini IR blasters. So, but they're still working right now. I would like to disconnect them from the cloud. So, yeah, that was another product that I really liked that just got killed off by the company that made it. But yeah, so we were originally talking about Bamboo starting their own model hosting site. That kind of brings me back in to check the terms of service. It wouldn't surprise me if they put something in there saying that anything you upload there is going to be property of Bamboo. Personally, I think the whole reason that, they're doing this is so they can, steal designs from people. I'm not comfortable sending my designs to a printer that is cloud connected to a Chinese company, because, like it or not, a lot of Chinese companies steal intellectual property from other people. That's something that happens a lot. And basically, I would not be running, like my, who knows? Like, this may not seem like that much of a thing. Like, they probably wouldn't steal something like this, but, what if I'm using my Bamboo to prototype a product, for my business, and then they look at that and like, this looks interesting. We should probably keep an eye on this person's printer to see what they're printing. I don't know. I don't trust that stuff. I've been screwed over way too many times, especially with Chinese electronics having like backdoors and stuff. And I've told this story multiple times too. The big thing that made me very, very cautious about using closed source Chinese devices on my network is I used to do a lot of Amazon reviews, and this one company sent me a Wi-Fi security camera to do a review on. And this was before I was into using Blue Iris for my cameras. I might have had a Blue Iris set up, but it was it could only connect to their cloud. It had like, I think it was probably like a Smart Life thing. It was like one of those apps that, you buy an off-brand camera or smart device on Amazon, and they all use the same like Smart Life app because it's like the Tuya platform. But anyways, I paired the device to my network, got it all working. I was like, okay, it works. Like it was a PTZ camera, so it had audio, it had video, it could tilt, pan and tilt, and it was like, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I was working and I was uploading a video, and I'm like, why is this going so slow? So I pulled my firewall up and I checked. I was like, something is hammering my internet connection on the upload speed. So I looked at my state table. I was using pfSense at the time, and I noticed that this camera was sending a large data stream to a Chinese IP address. They were sending my audio and video. Now I did not have my app open. I had an SD card in the unit, and sure as shit, it was sending the data over there. Now, I wasn't recording their cloud either. There was no motion happening. So why was it open? So I took my laptop out. I did a WireGuard packet capture on the same Wi-Fi network. If you guys know anything about Wi-Fi networks, you can capture the data that's going on it, because it's basically, I think multicast is the right word. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know we got some nerds in the chat, but I think that's the correct word. But basically, if you're on a Wi-Fi network, you can capture a lot of the traffic going on. And one of the things I captured was a session on that camera from a Chinese IP address where they had telnetted in to the camera, and they were scanning my network to see what I had. They were scanning my entire subnet, and then they were doing port scanning on individual devices. So at that point, I unplugged the camera and never hooked it back up, and I sent it back to Amazon. I left a review on there with a link to the WireGuard packet capture so people could look at what I captured. I posted screenshots of the sessions. I posted screenshots from the WireGuard information showing that this is a guy with a telnet session running scan commands on my network, and they wouldn't post it. So yeah, that's why I don't trust the Chinese cloud stuff anymore. I don't trust it. There's also the fact that, you know, it's been known that basically if you're a Chinese company, and Creality had this, I don't know if this was what happened, but at one point, you know, sorry, I'm getting all over the place. Like if you're making electronics and the Chinese government goes, hey, we're going to put a backdoor in your stuff, you don't have a choice. They're just going to do it. You know, and there was for a while, Creality SD cards, and I think there's a video on this channel, or at very least a tweet or a post on our Facebook, where the Creality SD cards were coming with backdoor Trojans on them. And Creality wasn't putting them on there. Somebody else was. But you basically put the card in. It would try to establish a remote, like it was like a command and control type system where you'd load it. It would load on your computer. It would phone home to a server and basically sit there and wait for commands from a remote server. I don't trust this stuff. I don't trust these devices. Having an easy to use printer is not worth the security risk for me. If it is for you, that's fine. That's the reason I don't like the Bamboo printers. I don't like Creality's cloud stuff. I don't like, you know, other than the GPL violations, their Sonic Pad is also, you know, closed off, even though it's using stolen open source code. I want to know what's running on my network. And even like I have IP cameras that are from China. They're on their own VLAN. They have no internet access. They can only talk to other cameras on the network, but they cannot talk out to the internet. And that's, in my opinion, how you should have your security cameras set up if you guys have them in this day and age, is have them local only. The only thing they can talk to is a couple of ports on my server's local address. So my server has 2 network cards. One's on that VLAN, and it's firewalled off. So only certain ports can talk to it. So like they can't try to tunnel through my server. And the other one sits on my network so I can actually, you know, talk to it and pull my cameras up. But I've had, you know, in this day and age when everything's getting more and more connected, I do not want a lot of physical things phoning home to the internet. I want to keep it in-house. So, all right. Yeah, Zolan, all audio/video capture devices should not have blanket internet access. Well, the thing is, those Bamboo printers have cameras on them. I haven't looked at the circuit boards, but do they have microphones on there? Maybe they're there and not enabled. I don't know. I haven't looked at them. I'd be really curious to see, because the microphones can also look like just tiny little, like gold or silver square packages, kind of like what's used in like the Google Home or the Amazon Echo devices. So, yeah, good. Yours doesn't have blanket internet access. Yeah, I would not trust them. Like, but the majority of people are just throwing these on their home network with their computers and all their other devices. Yeah. All right. JTR says, why is Comet such a good boy? It's rhetorical. I mean, he is a pretty good boy, but he did chew up a wooden spoon the other day. And what else did we do? We did one other bad thing. What did we do that was bad? We did something else that was bad, didn't we? Now we're doing the nervous tail wag. I can't remember what it was, but he had 2 days in a row where he was a bad boy. Yeah. That, now he's breathing on my leg again. JTR also says, have you heard discussions on a security audit Bamboo Labs? Have they explained the phantom printing? So I have not heard about people talking about security audits, and they did explain kind of the phantom printing. I guess what happened was their system reset and it just reprinted queued up jobs or something like that. That's what I had heard. I stopped looking into it because I don't have one. I just kind of followed it, but it just goes to prove that you can't rely on somebody's cloud stuff, especially for something physical. Like, I'll tell you this, if it happened to me, if I had a Bamboo and it happened to me, like the printer physically ruined itself because of their software issue on their cloud crap, I'd be sending it back and never dealing with it again. All right. Ryan says, an old CR10S even worth using anymore with how much faster these newer printers are? Just getting back into it, seems like the Bamboo P1S is light years ahead. So the CR10S can still be a good printer. It's never going to hit super fast speed just because of the physical weight of the bed. But you can most certainly update it to get faster print quality out of it, especially with input shaping. You know, like for example, if you want to run input shaping and update it to a 32-bit board, or EasyBoard V2 can drop right into that printer, and then you can take that thing from an old 8-bit machine to a faster 32-bit one. And while you're not going to be hitting like 200 millimeters a second, you can feasibly get, you know, 100 to 120 millimeters a second with input shaping on a properly built CR10S. Like, they're still great printers. The other thing too is, like, in general, the faster you print, the weaker your parts are going to get. Like, it's just a physical thing. You know, the faster you run a printer, the less time each layer has to adhere to the last one. And we've done testing with this, is, you know, it makes weaker parts. So if you guys are printing little knickknacks, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But if you're printing parts that are going to be used in physical applications where they're going to be put under stress, faster is not better. So, because we could feasibly run our Ender 3s. We have a lot of Ender 3s and Ender 3 Pros that are fully kitted out with all new control boards, fancier hot end upgrades, and they can run faster, but and the prints will look good, but they will not be as strong. Savag just said he entered the live stream. Have you talked about the Ender 3 S1 3.3 volt regulator? So there's not really a ton to talk about with that. Other than the fact that this is something we saw happen with Ender 3 S1s a couple times, where customers put LCD kits on there, or they just had general issues with the printer being unstable, and we didn't know what it was, and I didn't have the printer in front of me. Now, it doesn't affect all Ender 3 S1s or Ender 5 S1s. You know, they do basically Ender 5 S1 and Ender 3 S1, the Pro, the Plus, and the regular, they all basically have the same control board. They are a different model number, but looking at them side by side, the firmware setup, they're basically the same thing. But we have had people where they bought our LCD kits for like their Ender 3 S1, and they had the display corruption like what I showed in the video, and we tried changing firmware timings, we tried sending out new LCD screens, and then one of the customers bought a new board, because we're like, it's got to be the control board, and his new board worked with it. So that confirmed that, okay, it was just a bad board. But we didn't know what was bad about the board until I got this Ender 5 S1 that my buddy Matt gave me to play with, and I had the same issue, and I noticed it was basically the same board that the Ender 3 S1 had, and I was reading up on display corruption, and I've dealt with timings, display timing and stuff before. And then there was like some random comment. It wasn't even on a printer form. We were just talking about general display times. They were talking about the levels of the signals not being high enough voltage. And I started thinking, I was like, okay, well, the processor runs off the 3.3 volt rail on these. On the 8-bit boards, it runs off the 5 volt rail. Well, I'm going to check to see what the voltage is on the rail. And sure enough, I was reading anywhere from 2.9 to 3.0 on this one. I was like, okay, that's weird. So I bodged on a regulator step down I had that went from 24 to 3.3, injected it into the pin like I showed in the video with our 3v3 fix kit, and all of a sudden everything started working. So I was like, okay, well, maybe the regulator is bad. So I swapped it, and there's a video where I showed it working. I swapped it, and it worked for a little bit, but after I power cycled it a couple times, the voltage went back down to 2.9 to 3.0. So I don't think the regulator itself is the issue. I think either it's the board has a physical flaw in it that's screwing with the voltage from being at the correct level, or the other components that are with the regulator itself are either out of spec, and which I guess would be defective, and it's not putting out the correct voltage. But once we brought that rail up to the 3.3 volts that it should be at, everything started working. So yeah, it's just a weird thing. All right. So Eli Turner said, should my next printer be the SV07 Plus, or should I save it for Bamboo? I know the SV07 doesn't have linear rods which is a letdown. So I have an SV07, the original one, sitting in a box in my shop that Tripod from Tripod's Garage sent me. He did not like it. I can't give you an opinion on that. I know those are the clipper-based machines, and I feel like I've either seen people either really like them or they hate them. If you're looking for something that's going to be a little more hackable and a little more like supported by us and by other companies, the SV06 and the SV06 Plus, I have both of them. They've both been really good printers. Those are always a solid buy. I might see about getting our hands on the SV07 Plus after we do the SV07 itself. But yeah, I would wait and see what the reviews are. I probably wouldn't pre-order. In general, Soval typically makes pretty good machines, but I heard a lot of people that said the SV07 was really bad. So I don't know if the SV07 Plus is also going to be in that same camp. But the SV06 and the SV06 Plus have been solid machines. All right. Eli Turner said, I tried to ask in Discord, but I thought I could see if you had any input. I've unified 2 firmware on the SV06 Plus. I was wondering why the slower homing enabled, it causes homing issues. And we actually had, I don't know if it was you or somebody else. So, but when you enable slower homing, you're going to have to play with your sensorless homing settings. So that printer uses what's called sensorless homing, where the drivers basically detect the motor when it's stalling out when it reaches the end of the travel. So when you home the printer, it basically rams the X carriage to the left and it hits the gantry, and then it pushes the bed to the back, and it's looking to see that motor current. When you're running it at a slower homing speed, it's going to need different values. So the firmware is set up for the values of the stock homing speed. So you're going to need to go into the LCD and change the sensorless homing values and increase the sensitivity. So if you go in the LCD menu, press the button, go down to configuration, go to advanced settings, and there's a TMC driver menu in the advanced settings menu, you'll see the sensorless homing one. And you're basically going to just have to play with the settings. I think they're at like 70 and 90 or something like that for the SV06 Plus, but you're basically going to need to find out what values your printer is going to need to properly detect the homing. And it's going to need to be more sensitive, so a higher number. Once you figure that out, just jot that down somewhere so when you update the firmware, you can go ahead and change those settings. In our firmware, we do have an option to adjust the sensorless homing sensitivity, so you can have it in your actual firmware level or firmware defaults. So if you reset the EEPROM, those stick on a EEPROM reset. So, all right. Scott Kane says, why am I always having to adjust my offset with the EasyABL sensor? So this is a very broad question, but I can give you some tips on where to get started. So if the first thing you should do is run an M48 test. If your M48 test comes back under 0.01, then your sensor is calibrated correctly. Now, the main cause for Z offsets changing is usually due to printers being super worn in and super loose. And since we just got done going over our entire print farm, I can tell you that on machines where the wheels are loose, the belts are loose, where the machine is just in need of a general tune-up, you're going to have the sensor drifting. It's not actually an issue with the sensor, it's an issue with the physical machine that it's on. Meaning, when you go and probe, you're going to be slightly off at different times because your machine is sloppy. So I recommend going over the machine and making sure everything's nice and tight, no screws are loose, no wheels are binding up or too loose. Check to see if you have any bad bearings. If it is a V-slot, V-wheel printer, I don't know what machine it's on, but typically machines that are like the Ender 3 style or the CR10, there's more room for error in those. But basically every single time when we've had machines that the Z offset needs to be adjusted, almost every single time, we take the printer down for maintenance and we find there's wheels that are loose, that are worn in. We have bearings that are worn out. It's always been a physical issue with the machine, meaning you have to take care of your printer. The thing is, your printers are machines. They need to be properly built, meaning everything needs to be adjusted correctly. You can't have a lot of slop because any slop is going to not only show up in your prints, but also affect how everything else works correctly, especially sensors, whether it's our Easy ABL or it's a BL Touch or a CR Touch or any other type of ABL sensor. So, all right. Let's see. Okay. We have like 5 more minutes. So, Eli said, Eli says, do you think Soul will ever make a Core XY like the P1P? Would you be interested in one? I know Ender made one recently, but I hope Solval does. So I have I have both the Creality's Core XYs that came out recently, the Ender 7 and the Ender 6. I really like the Ender 7, or not the Ender 7, the Ender 6. As you can see, I'm printing with it right now. That's been a very nice printer. The Ender 7, while the physical build quality was good, it was kind of a flop commercially because it was so expensive. I am going to resurrect that machine. It's literally sitting over here on the floor collecting dust, but I am going to use it in our print farm. I just have been getting through the backlog of other machines. So, but if Solval made a Core XY printer, I would probably purchase it because they do typically make good machines. All right, so last one before we give the giveaway. Oh yeah, lube. Nemo Griff, good point. Yeah, so on your printers, lube your lead screws. It also doesn't hurt to put a couple little drops of oil in your V-slot wheel bearing. So if you put them like on the side of the bearing, it usually will go in. I'm a big fan of the Super Lube stuff. I don't know where it is. I think it's in my drawer here, but the Super Lube stuff is really good. But yeah, lubricating your motion components, your bearings, your rods. Like to give you an example, as we were rebuilding the printers, I ran M48 tests after going over one of the machines that was heavily used. The wheels on the X carriage were so worn down that even with the eccentric nut adjusted to the tightest position, the carriage was still sloppy. So that was throwing off our probe accuracy because that carriage was just flopping about. Not a ton, like you couldn't really see it. You could feel it if you pulled on it a little bit, but it was enough to where when it was probing, it was throwing off the accuracy of the probe. I changed the wheels and it was still not getting that great of accuracy. And then I lubed the lead screw and it went from like 0.02 millimeters to 0.002. So, you know, you got to take care of your printers. These are machines, including you guys with the bamboo printers. Just because they have, you know, flashy plastics covering up the scary looking parts, they still have belts, they still have bearings, they still have things that move. They're going to need maintenance, and you need to take care of your printer no matter what brand it is, no matter if it's a cheap printer or an expensive printer. It's a machine that's going to need maintenance, just like your car. You know, if you drive your car and never change oil, guess what? Your engine blows up. You know, things start breaking. It's the same thing. These are machines. Just because they have a ton of plastics on them and they got, you know, pretty little screens that make it look less intimidating doesn't mean that they're any less of a machine than something else. You know what I mean? All right. So this is the last one. John George says, will the Solval SVS07 firmware work on the SV06? Thinking of a possible easy upgrade to Clipper? The answer is no. Those are completely different hardware setups. And Clipper, you need, unlike Marlin, you need to have a separate control board, or usually called an SBC, a single board computer, in addition to your printer's control board. Now, there are some printers and boards where the SBC and the printer control board are one unit. And there's also hang on one second. Of course, this lady calls me back like right towards the end of the day while I'm streaming. Anyways, what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Hang on one second. Oh, we're talking about Clipper and SBC. So Clipper, when people say Clipper, is one part of a whole stack of software. This is the other thing with Clipper and why I'm not a big fan of it. Marlin. Everybody is familiar with Marlin. Marlin just requires your printer control board. Marlin goes on the control board. Your printer works with just Marlin on the control board. Clipper, just Clipper on your control board does nothing. You also need another computer, a single board computer like a Raspberry Pi or some other little ARM chip. You can also run on an old Windows computer, put Linux on it. You need a computer, whether it's a little SBC or a regular old computer, to run Clipper. So Clipper is a firmware that goes on your printer's control board. It also has a part that runs on the computer itself. Then you also have Moonraker, which is an API for the whatever front end you're using to talk to the Clipper firmware. So you have multiple layers of software all working together to just run your printer. It's more complicated. So when you see these printers come with Clipper, they have a separate little computer. They have a control board still, and they have all this software that's been set up by the manufacturer. And the other thing is, too, if the manufacturer doesn't keep that updated, and they don't release source code so you can keep it updated, or they're using their own bastardized version of Clipper like Creality Sonic Pad, good luck keeping anything updated. If you want new features, if you want bug fixes, there's a big drawback. So I'm not sure if Soval's hardware that comes with the SV07 and the SV07 Plus will support just regular old Clipper. That is something I'm going to mess with and see, because again, I would rather run just straight. If I'm going to run Clipper, I would rather run straight Clipper instead of a Chinese company's bastardized version of it, because you don't really know what they've done to it. So, yeah, that's about it. But yeah, you're not going to be able to, just put the Clipper SV07 code on the SV06. It doesn't work like that. So there are pluses and minuses to each of the firmwares. At the end of the day, Marlin typically is easier to use than Clipper. There's less moving parts. So like here, we run Marlin on our control boards, and we have Raspberry Pis or similar computer boards running Octoprint. So Octoprint runs on its own. The printer can run with or without it. We have the printers connected over USB from their control board to Octoprint, and it's a really simple setup. We could run Clipper by reflashing our board and reflashing the SBC, but again, just from people I know, including Tor, who's one of our support agents that run Clipper, it is very finicky at times. There's been a lot of times where updates, break things, and then you have to reset up your code or troubleshoot. My whole thing is, and the big thing that the Clipper fanboys like to say is, well, I don't need to recompile my firmware every time I change something on my printer for Clipper. Well, I'm not somebody that rebuilds my printers every week or even every month. I build my printer and it stays in that configuration for months to years. I don't care about recompiling firmware if I need to do an update. I'll take that over having to manage an entire stack of software like Clipper, where you have Clipper and Moonraker, and then you have Mainsail or Fluid or Clipper Screen or whatever front end you're using, that all need to play nicely together, and they're all being updated by separate people, which typically breaks things. It's just more complexity. Like in general, Marlin is simpler than Clipper. They both have learning curves. Now, one thing we do with our Unified 2 firmware is we have it. Our Unified 2 firmware is an easy to use version of Marlin, where I have sat down with the printers and I figured out all the optimal settings for those machines to make it way easier for people to set up. Now, if you're talking about Marlin, just regular old Marlin versus a whole Clipper stack setup, they're both pretty complicated. So I would still say that if you're going in brand new, Marlin's probably a little easier to set up. And it's a little simpler because it's just Marlin on the control board. And then if you want network connectivity, you put Octoprint on a SBC, and boom, now your Marlin printer can go on your network. You can have your camera, you can have plugins, you can have time lapses. It can do all that stuff, and it's just a simpler setup. And the thing is too, when I update Octoprint, it typically doesn't break things. So Octoprint just talks to my Marlin control board over serial commands, and that's how it talks and runs a print job. So the chances are, whereas like Clipper's that whole stack of software. So if Moonraker breaks something, well, your whole printer's broken. If Clipper breaks something, communicating between Clipper and Moonraker, well, that's broken now. Well, and if let's say you're using Fluid and something happens between Fluid and Mainsail, well, that's broken. There's a lot more things to break, whereas Octoprint is very simple. It just talks to your printer over a serial connection to your Marlin control board. Now, you can also use Marlin, or not Marlin, you can also use Clipper with Octoprint, which is how it actually originally was. Octoprint was like the front end for Clipper, but that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, but the whole thing, and I think even Tor was telling me, even Nero was saying this, that people need to stop pushing Clipper onto consumer machines, because the majority of people, Clipper's way too much for them to deal with. And I have to agree with that. So, yeah. But yeah, it's fine. If you like tinkering, Clipper will probably be something you enjoy. Me, on the other hand, I need my printers to work. I don't even have machines here really anymore that are kind of screw around machines. You know what I mean? I use my printers for work. I use them for development. I want them to work. And I think even Tor can chime in. He's got multiple Voron builds. Some of them run, apparently I wasn't moving enough. my motion sensor turned off. He's got some Voron builds and Mercury builds running Marlin. He's got some running Clipper, and the Marlin ones typically just work. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, the good thing is if you don't update your Clipper installs, they probably won't break. So if I did start rolling out Clipper stuff, I would probably lock in on a certain version number and leave it there, and just not touch it for a long time, because I've had many people tell me about their updates breaking things and their printer then not working. So, but yeah, and here's the thing: you can print fast on Marlin. The Clipper fanboys don't want you to know that about that. But anyways, thank you guys for all stopping by the last Ask Tim stream. We will be coming out with a new live stream format. We're still figuring it out, but we will be doing live streams still. We're just changing it up. But I want to thank Tom for sending the dogs a bunch of goodies. Do you guys want some treats? Come here. Come here. Can we sit? Sit. Oh, he's like, this is a new thing. I don't know what it is. Comet, can you catch this? Sit. Comet's not very good at catching. We'll see if he gets it. Remo, sit. Woof. Yeah. I'd say we like the peanut butter treats. Hey, Comet, can we try catching again? Can we sit? Sit. He's not very good at catching. Remo, on the other hand, is really good at catching. He's gonna make sure he knows you're gonna throw some. Ready? Just keep giving him treats. He'll keep doing it. Oh, and of course he misses. Hey, Comet got one. All right. Can we get another one? Whoop. He's like, I'm still chewing, Father. Remo. All right. All right. Okay, so that will wrap it up. If you guys have any suggestions for what kind of stuff you'd like to see in the new video stream format, go ahead and send us a message. You can go to contactus.th3dstudio.com and just use the sales link. Send us some suggestions. I am thinking more of a format with myself and other people going forward, just to make it a little more interesting. Still have a Q&A, but also have it focused on like news and stuff. So. All right, before we go, we are going to do 2 giveaways here. And I'm going to make the first giveaway be our traditional $25 gift card for the store. So we're going to go ahead and open that. We're going to do a 1-minute timer. So look in the chat. We're going to do !Ask Tim. So the giveaway is open. Go ahead and do that. While we're doing that, let's see. Dogs, what do we want? What do we want? Do we want more of do we want these or do we want these? Which one do we want? Pick. Hang on. Let's see. Pick. You want this one? Okay, Remo wants the little one. There you go. All right, which one do you want? Which one do you want? Come on, which one do you want? Come on, which one do you want? Here. You want this one? You want the big one? Okay. Comet's gonna get the big one. Look at him. There you go. Remo. Fine, here. Here you go. They're getting all sorts of treats. All right, let's see who won the $25 gift card. All right. And the winner is... I clicked pick winner. Did it post in the chat? Did I? Oh, it says Franklin. Is that correct? Did it post in the chat? Where's my window? I think it said Franklin. Hang on. Did it not post? Is my giveaway bot not working? I am so confused right now. Hang on, Franklin. Okay, there we go. I had to refresh it. Okay. Franklin. Okay, There you go. So Franklin, is that one of your order numbers? Have you been watching and you know how I do this? Is that one of your order numbers? That looks like an order number. Let me double check. Yes, it does. Oh, are you a Hoosier too? I want to make sure I got the right person. He's a Hoosier, according to the address I have here on file. I got you, yeah, 2021. Well, now you can order some more stuff. You're still following us after 2 years. I appreciate it. All right, I got your info here. Now, for the second giveaway, I'm gonna put here. We're gonna give away one of our brand new Easy ABL NG kits, and you will get to choose between the NG8, which is the tiny probe, and the NG18, which is our standard size probe. So let me go ahead and reset this here. We're going to do exclamation point Easy ABL, okay? All right. And while we're waiting for that, I'm going to get Frank's gift card entered in here for his $25 one. If you can also enter, Frank, go ahead. And this is open for everybody as long as we ship to your country, which is most countries. So no, I don't want to add a new product. I want to add a new order. Okay. I'm getting Frank's added in here while you guys are typing out and entering the giveaway. My eye is itching for some reason. All right. Franklin, I got your gift card entered, and you should have it right now. It should be coming through your email in just a second here. All right, let's see who won the Easy ABL. Now, you guys got to let me know which one you want. And if you are an existing customer, post an order number in, and I will pull your email up. And yeah, so hang on. So if you win, and you're an existing customer, post your order number. I'll pull that up. And if for some reason that order number's address is not where you want me to ship the kit, send us a message, like open a ticket and let you know where you want it to go. All right, let's see who won the Easy ABL kit. 3 Deets. I thought that said 3 Ds for a second. 3 Deets, you won. Come on. Bueller. Nemo knew what I was thinking. Hey, all right. All right, that order, am I good to ship the Easy ABL kit to that address? If you do want other stuff too, I can give you we can combine it to save on shipping too. But if you just want that kit, let me know. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open a ticket for you, and we can communicate on that. How's that work? I got you. I recognize your name. He's been buying stuff for a while. He just ordered a bunch of easy plugs, which if you guys are waiting on the easy plugs, we should have them in a couple weeks. All right, here we go. I'm gonna open a ticket for you. You should be in our system here. Oh, you know what? You might not have contacted us since we moved over to the new one. So I got you. I'm making a ticket here. You should have it in just a second. And then you can let me know what size you want and if there's anything else you want added onto the order. And I'll communicate with you on the ticket. So anyways, I'm going to let that go. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody for stopping by on the stream. We will be doing, again, like I said, the Ask Tim series has officially being retired. We will come up with a new format and series to do at the minimum. Bi-weekly streams is what I'm aiming for, at the very minimum, for like a regular thing. And also not doing the Ask Tims every single day, or not every single week will also give us time to also do more printer streams and stuff. Also, this little dog I've been fidgeting with in my hand, this came off of the Ender 5 S1 with our firmware on it. So this is the first print off of it, and I'm not running input shaping or anything. I have not adjusted the printer. I just put our firmware on it, and I actually used my Ender 3 S1 profile on this, and it came out really good. So, anyways, again, shout out to Tom P. I really appreciate you sending the Doggo some goodies. They're currently chewing on their rawhide-free chicken snacks, so I really appreciate it. Also, Tom, if you're watching, let me know when you get those parts I sent you so we can get your printer upgrades all done. So. Also, if you guys may not know, if you guys do need help with your printer, even if you're not a customer of ours, you can become a customer because we do have technical support services available. So you can get on a call with myself or one of my other guys, and we can help you out with your printer, whether that's firmware setup, hardware setup, or whatever you like. Also, we will be launching for the Northwest Indiana area and the Chicagoland area. We will be doing printer repairs. So if you guys are in the area, we will be doing repairs where we can come out and pick your printer up or drop it off here, that kind of stuff, whether it's a repair, upgrade, or both. We are going to be offering that going forward. We're just getting all the stuff ready to have the information on the website. So we will not be doing mail-in stuff just because shipping printers gets kind of sketchy, meaning I can do a bunch of work on it and get it working perfectly here and send it through UPS or whatever, and they end up damaging it on the other end. But for stuff where we can, have the customer dropping the machine off, or we can pick it up and drop it off, that kind of thing, we want to start doing that because there's really no places to get your printers fixed or work done these days. So anyways, I will see you guys on whatever the next stream is. And I appreciate you guys' loyalty over the years. I appreciate your guys' support. We are a very small business, and I really appreciate your guys' support. I know times are tough right now, and every little cent helps. I appreciate you guys. And as always, happy printing. I will see you guys on whatever our next venture is in terms of the live streams. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Talk to you later.